What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Maurice, aka the People Source. Welcome to the very first episode of Uncuffing the Truth. Clap this up real quick, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Glad to be here. I'm gonna say this. For so long, I've wanted to express myself, and I've always contemplated on whether or not I should do this because of what I do for a living, being in law enforcement. I'm an active member right now. And one of the number one things that I understand is we have to be very mindful of what we say. So I've battled with myself on if I was going to move forward in doing this or not. Ultimately, you obviously see us here. So the decision was made. And the reason why this decision was made and why I'm no longer battling with myself is because I understand there's a bigger purpose. And I feel like I can be that source for the people to make people understand what this job really entails and a lot of the things that you guys don't hear and see. So we gonna get into that on this podcast here. So with that being said, let me go ahead and let my co-host introduce himself. Talk to me, man.
Hey, what's good, man? First and foremost, congrats. I know this is something that has been in the works, and like you just said, something that's kind of been on your mind. So I'm happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
To everybody out there, my name is Frankie Fabre, Chicago native, owner and CEO of Fabre Media.
You from O-Block?
Nah, I ain't from O-Block.
Yeah, he is.
Nah, but although that's what everybody says, because O-Block, right now is leading the game in all music. But I've been involved in many things when it comes to law enforcement.
Right.
Both on the side of being involved in activism, protests, going around the country in different inner city communities, being up front in the battlefield with what's going on, teaching people life skills and just different ways of doing things. So I have a particular perspective when it comes to law enforcement, and even being from Chicago, like that's, CPD, that's a whole nother thing right there. So
Already.
I'm happy to add, my input to this conversation. I hope people out there can also find something to relate to with this, and hopefully with this dialogue can be something that opens people's eyes and brings some enlightenment.
Absolutely. Happy to have you,
No
man.
doubt, bro. Appreciate you.
Salutations all. Kenneth King here. I'm the owner of Red Snow Films and Red Snow Media Group, and I'm absolutely elated to be able to collaborate with my first cousin. It's actually my first cousin by blood, but logically we're more like brothers. We essentially grew up together.
That's a fact.
A little bit of background about me. I've unfortunately been on the other side of the law, the not so bright side of the law. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. We're going to get more into that later as we progress. But yeah, I think that allows me the opportunity to talk about and relate from a unique perspective of being behind those gates, being behind the wall, and having those cuffs on my wrist. And again, I'm not ashamed to talk about it. And I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about that and hear his perspective, because a lot of things we just don't know.
Sure,
so that's why I'm here, and I'm hoping I can bring that uniqueness to the panel, and let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. So you opened the door on being involved and being on the other side of the fence. So one of the things I want to say, because I don't know what that feels like. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of the fact of me being from New York, born and raised, being from Queens, growing up in the hood, just seeing certain things, seeing a bunch of shit with my own two eyes and being a part of things, the bottom line is I've never been on that other side.
Right.
My question to you, what do you think a police officer, no matter what age, background, ethnicity group, no matter what do you think all police officers should, bring to the table as just dealing with the people, the public, every day, just going outside to perform their duties? How do you feel, and what do you feel police officers should bring to the table?
That's a great question. So let's start. Okay, first I would say, so I think we all could agree we'll call that like people skills, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that cops should be able to, before they are able to become a cop, they should have extensive training, extensive, simulations from real situations with how to just deal with and mainly talk to people, speak to people. Verbiage is extremely important. If a police officer addressed a person, more pleasantly or less aggressively, potentially a life could have been saved, because by nature, us as humans, we are defensive characters. We are defensive individuals, and I just feel like a lot of times, and I felt this myself, where I felt so intimidated by the police, by the way they were treating me and speaking to me, when they didn't even have bad intentions. You just get, the sweat starts coming and the short come and just thinking about what's going to happen, particularly being a black man, because like this might, I'm not even being dramatic saying this might be the last traffic stop I ever had. So to answer the question in short, I think they should have some form of training, and I don't know what that would look like, but some form of training that they have extensive people skills, whether that comes down to psychology or sociology, whether it's socioeconomic, I don't care, whatever it is, to relate to people and use the correct verbiage and the correct body language to convey their message in a non-aggressive way 100% of the time.
Right.
If something like that exists. So what you think about that?
No, I concur completely. I think that before police officers can even become certified police officers, they should go through some type of therapy. I think that should be required, right?
Technically, they do. They put us through, you meet with a psychiatrist,
like a psychological evaluation.
You go through a psychological evaluation, correct? And I mean, is it
how extensive?
I was getting ready to say, to your point, is it really in depth?
Well, I guess we can even ask you that question afterwards. But one of the reasons why I'm bringing that up is just like anything, I'm talking about some decent time because, it's people dealing with people, right? We all go through things and we're all in particular places in our life that are circumstantial. And every encounter with a regular citizen and a police officer is a circumstance.
It matters.
And the environment is predicated on the mindset of both of those people.
Yep.
And so being in law enforcement, you might have to deal with somebody who isn't in that right state of mind, right? Mm-hmm. But what makes it even worse is when that same police officer that is dealing with that other person who's not in the right state of mind, they're not in the right state of mind.
Absolutely.
And so I think it comes with just like, a therapist for themselves. As I was giving an example when we were talking earlier, is that a therapist has to disconnect themselves from that patient to a point to where they're not allowing what's going on to dictate the outcome of why that patient is here.
Right.
A therapist has to go in there with a clear mind as much as possible, even if they got some stuff going on at the crib, right? Because their patient's going to feel that, because there's that encounter, that exchange of energy, that exchange of conversation that's going to take place. And it's going to create the environment, and that environment's going to produce a particular outcome. And what I see time and time again is, especially, in communities of color, is we already have, many people who are dealing with so many different things, mentally struggling, going through certain things psychologically, not having certain people around. These are things that are truly affecting how we think and how we perceive life to be.
And I feel like, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to jump in because I feel like by and large, police officers, whether it's a funding issue or it's just obsolete, they're not trained. You guys aren't trained to deal with people in those situations, to deal with people with mental health issues, like on a day-to-day basis. But you see it all the time. Mentally ill man gets gunned down because he was wielding a knife. I just feel like they're handling those situations too vaguely. Like, okay, this is just a person with a knife. No, that is not a person with a knife. That's a person that might not have the same intentions that you think they would have just because they're just not well.
So to kind of touch on that, we were having a conversation earlier about overall having a skill set, regardless to whether you've had training in that particular area or not. I truly believe that there's no amount of training that can develop people skills, that can develop a person to be able to sympathize and empathize for what a person is going through. That is something that comes from within. You know what I mean? You can tell me anything you want and any experience that you went through. If I'm not a person who's had that experience and feel like I can relate to you due to the fact that we come from different walks of life, and I don't want to make it sound like this, but it's like, I can hear your story or as much as you're willing to tell me. The bottom line is, I can't feel you. I don't feel you on it.
So what would you say is the biggest misconception about, or I would say the biggest misconception and what you see is like the worst type of, interaction the police have with, or you have had with somebody, like in terms of how you speak to them and how you interact with people?
If I'm going to be perfectly honest, if I just address me, I don't think I've had any bad interactions with people. And the reason for that is because, and I'm not here to toot my own horn, but I have an understanding of people.
Right.
I understand that, one, I don't care about the uniform. That's the first part. The uniform doesn't define me. So anything that I do or say when I'm dealing with a person has nothing to do with the uniform. It's just something that I have to wear for 8 hours, maybe sometimes longer. It has nothing to do with, oh my God, I'm putting this on, so this is how I have to do things. No, this is just who I am. And I think that's what we're discussing right now. I think that's part of it. If we talk about just the overall inner structure of how police departments operate, and if we get into particular individuals that sign on to take this, take the role of a police officer, you got to realize how that correlates with one another. Example, I was NYPD for 3 years. I would hear all the stories about how they had numbers. You had to bring in a certain amount of arrests. You had to, write a certain amount of summonses, or otherwise there would be punishment behind it. That's an inner structure thing. You know what I mean? So now you take an individual who doesn't have much life experience. This is their first time getting involved in something this big, to this magnitude. They embrace the lifestyle. They embrace the structure of what they're getting ready to get involved in.
Right.
In their minds, it's, well, this is what they want. This is all I really know. This is the first thing that I've really been a part of that I can honestly say has embraced me. I'm going to do whatever they want me to do.
Plus more.
Plus more.
Some unnecessary, adage.
Right. So now you're a person now who doesn't have people skills. And this is examples. You don't have people skills. You don't have much life experience. Your presence has never really moved anybody. Know what I mean? You whether you was in high school and you never really got the boy or the girl you want,
picked on, bullied.
You know what I mean? You didn't make the basketball team or the football team because you wasn't the most athletic. Your presence was just there. Everyone sees you, but you're not really shaking anybody up. Nobody's worried about you.
And then when that uniform gets slapped on, now, you give them a certain amount of power. Kind of, if you think about it, I want to be very clear. Like, just starting off, it's gonna appear that I hate the police. I don't hate the police. I have a deep dislike and a misunderstanding with them, and I hope to clear that up. But I think we all acknowledge it's a hard fucking job.
It's hard.
It is a hard fucking job to be able to navigate all of these personalities and situations, and that's a hard thing to be 21 and come into this job and have all of this power and all these expectations and have to serve and protect. That's fucking hard.
Here's the issue. What's your reason for taking this job?
I think that's what we're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? You have people who are taking the job for their own personal reasons and for their own personal gain. Right. Again, if you're a person who has never felt like anything in life has embraced you, and again, I'm not talking about family. I'm just talking about things that you've always wanted to be a part of. You wanted to be the popular one. You didn't sit at the cool table at school. You know what I'm saying? You didn't make the football team. Like I said, you didn't make the basketball team. Your presence was just a presence. No one really felt you.
But that's not everybody's. That's not everybody's. Logic and reasoning.
It's not. But my thing is, we're talking about that specific group of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You and I'm gonna tell you something. There's a very, in my opinion, just based off what I've seen from working with 2 different major departments now, you have a very large group of those particular people that I'm describing right now.
Right.
So now you put them in this system where it says, this is what you can do in the event this or that happens.
So would you call that like robotic thinking?
Absolutely. Robotic thinking, bro. So now you get out there and you're like, okay, well, if you make that left turn, I'm writing you a summons. You know what I'm saying? And yes, are you within the scope of your duties? Absolutely. Here's where the people skills come into play. You pull that car over. You approach. Hey, how you doing? My name is Officer So-and-so. Reason why I pulled you over is you made that left turn. There's a sign there that clearly states no left turn between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning. License and registration, please. Okay. Officer, my sincere apologies. I didn't see the sign. Reason why I made that left turn, my kid's school is right down this block. I'm already running late for work. My kid is already late for school. The quickest way to get him to school was for me to make this left turn. I didn't see the turn sign. My apologies. Here's the problem. And where I say the structure of how the department operates can fuck up that right there, that one situation can determine everything between how 2 people, fuck the uniform, 2 people can eventually say, okay, this person understands what I'm going through at this moment. It's not about the job. The person's human. And I just told him something that's extremely rational and logical, and it's all about how you receive it now. NYPD does this. It's the end of the month. 27th for the month, we turn in an activity sheet at the end of every month. I'm sure they're still doing that now. I've only been going 3 years, but I'm sure they're still doing that. At the end of that month, they're looking to see how many arrests you've made, how many tickets you wrote. It's the only thing they look at. They're not looking at anything else on that paper. They don't care how many calls you went to. They don't care about anything else. Let that shit have zeros. and see the response that you get. Let that shit have zeros. Oh, so you telling me out of 30 or 31 days, you didn't see anybody make a wrong turn or didn't have a seatbelt on or was on a cell phone? Nothing. You blind, you might as well say. And you're trying to figure out, like, damn, why you pressing me like that? But now
so that would just put unnecessary pressure on officers to make arrests.
So now to do unnecessary shit,
and it creates tension between the officers and the general public. I mean, we get that.
And the structure, bro, and that's the bottom line. So again, you take a person who doesn't come into this with their own identity,
right? And
they're ultimately, feeling like, well, shit, I ain't never been a part of nothing that's accepted me in the first place anyway, and this is where I can actually make someone feel my presence.
Right.
I'm gonna do it.
And also too, one of the things that I think has an effect as well is a lot of police officers are policing areas that they don't know
shit about.
They're not from, right? Like even in CPD, most of those officers live in the burbs,
absolutely,
or are from the burbs going to the city, being police officers out there, and there's no correlation, right? There's no correlation.
Have no idea what's going on over here
at all, and so you have people coming into areas, policing areas that are not theirs, and I think that
should be criteria,
right? I think that
it'd be people say that shit to me.
There should be criteria, like you should have to.
You got to understand the people in these areas that you're policing.
I'm not saying you have to be from the hood, ever shot nobody,
right,
but you have to have a clear, we from the hood, but I wouldn't consider myself a hood dude, but I have a clear understanding culturally
how the hood operates.
Of how it operates. I know what to do, what not to do. So I would be a good candidate because, actually probably a better candidate because I've seen both sides. If you're not from that area, a lot of things that ain't scary look more scary to you.
Right.
You know?
And so I've had so many people say that to me, and I'm conflicted on that because here's the thing. How could you understand if you don't come from that? Everyone doesn't come from that. So bottom line is you can't say, well, you didn't grow up in the hood and you never did no hood shit, so I can't make you work in the hood. I mean,
well, maybe on your first whatever 90 days or something, you tag along with somebody or you partner with somebody who's from that neighborhood.
I mean, but how would you know that person is from that neighborhood?
I mean,
you know what I mean?
You would know. If you're a police officer, they should have screens enough to know where you're from. They can tell in your demeanor where you're from.
I think the point is understanding the people of the community that you're policing.
It's more about respecting the people that you're
100%.
Because understanding, you're never gonna understand it. You don't come from this. You can't understand it.
You're just gonna see that person like a regular person when in reality this might be somebody in the community that's making a change or making a difference or has a certain responsibility in those areas, or even maybe being able to connect with the leaders in that area rather than feel like you're just supposed to enforce the law. How about we connect with people in those areas that can actually keep crime off the street because they're respected in those areas?
I wouldn't say that's necessarily a cop's job though, to do something like that.
But what I'm saying is the point of being able to have some relation to the area you're policing, because guess what's going to happen is they're going to defy what a community is by looking like an outsider in a sense of understanding that community. And so the respect from the people in those areas is slim to none. You're just a pig. You're just 12. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk to you, even if you're nice to me. Matter of fact, don't talk to me.
Right.
Matter of fact, I didn't do anything wrong, but I see you coming this way, so I'm going the opposite way.
Right.
Let me tell you something, I've told one person this, which is my old partner. I'm saying me and him, that's my brother. We've been able to develop such a rapport with one another because we're the same. He understands. You feel me? So you guys are the only other people that I've told this. When I first became a cop,
what's that?
I have no idea.
That's
just
outside.
threw me off.
That's outside. You're good. Go ahead.
When I first became a cop, when I graduated the academy, what I realized what I was doing when I first got out, I'll say for the first 6 months, I knew that the majority wasn't where I was from. Don't talk how I talk. Don't dress how I dress. I knew the majority comes from a totally different walk of life. I tried so hard to fit in with them, to more so make them, not be uncomfortable with my presence. You know what I mean? Just being a black man, understanding that I know what I bring to the table, and I know the shit that I've seen and been a part of, and I know y'all don't come from that. So I need to make sure that I take a look at my surroundings and understand that this ain't that, and I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable with my presence. So for a long time, well, for 6 months, that's not really a long time, but for 6 months, I battled with trying to make others comfortable with my presence. And I realized after about 6 months, I'm like, you know what?
Others like your colleagues?
Other cops, hell yeah. And I realized after 6 months, like, shit, not me. Like,
yeah.
I can't do nothing but just be myself. So I said, you know what, yo, fuck this. Like, I'm a be me because I know what I bring to the table. And that's when I realized that I can finesse this job the way I need to finesse it to make it work for me.
Would you say that people who have a lack of understanding of those neighborhoods and the people that inhabit them would employ like certain fear tactics to get, well, I'm not going to say what you say because they do, but like what have you seen? Because fear is just, in my opinion, just a lack of understanding of something. It's like fear of the unknown. Like most people that don't understand something,
Indeed,
you fear it.
Absolutely.
It's just a very scary thing. So
I know exactly where you're getting at. So I had a cop one time come up to me. This was in New York. I had a cop come up to me one time. He's like, yo, bro, how do you, he said, I've seen you on a couple scenes that, I checked by with you on. And when I say check by, I mean, he assisted. He said he was, he let our dispatcher know he was coming by.
Right.
He's like, I see how you deal with folks. Like, you're very calm, cool, collected, regardless of where we are and what you're dealing with. He's like, how do you do that? He says, I don't possess that skill. He says, and I think part of it is because I don't necessarily, he kept it real. He was like, I don't necessarily understand your people. Like, bro, but no bullshit. I respected it because I'm just like,
it's jarring.
That's some real shit to say to a person, to say, yo, I'm confiding in you to let you know I have no idea what to say and do when I'm dealing with black folks.
But even that's so like, and this is to go back to what I said. This is why I don't like the police, because like a grown man should never have to say that. I mean, I understand the fact that he did. You shouldn't be so oblivious wearing that uniform that you would ever have. Like, that's something that a 18-year-old college student from a small town would say in her first time in a big city. If she has an Asian, like that's such an ignorant statement, and that shit bleeds into the streets.
But here's the thing. I'd much rather he make that statement.
I mean, sure.
And especially in an environment where no one else can hear him at that moment, where he's legit trying to figure out a better way.
But the fact that he has to, that level of ignorance is on the street.
It's like it's like what you're saying is, then he shouldn't be an officer.
He shouldn't be a fucking cop. If he has to ask that question, he should not. And that's what we're talking about.
At least in those areas. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's already in uniform. Bro. That means
it's too late.
Right. He already passed everything. Yet it's the person who is not a people's person.
Because the job could probably change you. I'm just saying it's bad infrastructure. The fact that person saying he probably was super.
That's what we're talking about.
That person could have that job to be in charge of someone's life.
Absolutely.
That same day.
Right. That's a mistake ready to happen.
Right.
Terrible mistake.
Here's what I'll say. Correct. I agree. Bottom line is, you have the perception and you have the reality. And most of the time, perception makes the decision.
Right.
If you're telling me this, a certain amount of qualifications that you need to graduate the police academy throughout the states, and you meet those qualifications, again, this goes right back into me saying that no matter how much training you go through, no matter what gets brought to your attention to say this is what you need in order to be a police officer, the real you is going to show. The moment you put that uniform on and it's time to go to work, the real you is gonna come out. So I hear what you guys are saying about why in the world would they make this person a cop? Unfortunately, bro, people skills is not one of the requirements,
and it should be.
And perception says people skills is a requirement, but again, what is actually really happening in order to ensure that a person knows how to deal with any and everyone? All you can do is put a person through a series of scenario based training and hope to God that they make out okay.
Alternate versions of every scenario. Like,
of course,
not every you can't account for everything. But maybe if you kick in the door and there's a female, teenage female on the couch, that might be a different simulation than a pregnant female on the couch. Like there has to be, because her hormones are different. She might be, docile, but it has to be some sort of criteria that you have a thorough understanding. Like, this is how you're supposed to behave in this situation, like in a vacuum.
Let me backtrack a little bit, because I kind of came off course with saying, ultimately wanting to get the point across of being that cool, calm, and collected individual with a person coming to me to confide in me and say, listen, how do I address this in this manner to not make people feel like I'm targeting them?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I told him, I says, listen, bro, I would never tell you to understand the people that you're dealing with. And the reason why I won't tell you that is because you don't come from this. I don't expect for you to understand. What I do expect is for you to respect it. You have to respect the people that you're dealing with, and don't allow the perception of don't allow what perception says for how you deal with a particular group.
And it's no one's fault, not your colleagues,
right?
Not your wife, right. Not the people you arrest, that you're culturally dense.
Correct. Like, you need to understand that.
Read a book.
Respect is what's going to get you through this.
Right.
So not understanding is one thing. That's fine, bro. When you approach a person, I put it like this. I would much rather you even voice that shit. Like, yo, listen, fellas, I'm not necessarily sure what's going on. Let's use a loud noise complaint, for example. You got 10 dudes outside. They're throwing a barbecue on the street. They like, I don't know. They're on the side of the sidewalk. That shit is popular. You go to Harlem right now, probably got somebody out when it's summertime with a grill, and the whole block is outside.
That's anyway.
You know what I'm saying?
I go too.
You know what I mean? And they getting right. Now you're getting these noise complaints. You got to go respond to that. Bro, just go up to them. Listen, fellas, I'm not sure, the level of concern that's going on with the people who are making these calls. Here's what I want, and here's what I want to see. I want to see if you and I and everyone out here can come to some common ground here. Is it possible for maybe you guys can maybe turn that down just a little bit for me? I'm not telling you to turn it off. I understand you guys.
And then what did they say? Get the fuck out of my face.
Okay, so listen, everything is circumstantial on this job.
Right.
Everything. You know what I'm saying? You make sure that you come with the right approach and the correct approach first. I don't give a fuck what they say to you. You come correct first, because whatever happens after that, you didn't dictate that.
But
you
but you still have a certain responsibility, even if that person does, because technically, not technically, you can say whatever you want to the police, and I just learned that shit.
Okay.
If you say get the fuck out of my face, that's not illegal.
It's not, but
your attitude and your volume still has to be a certain.
Okay, so now that's fine. No, you can listen. You can always remain even kill. So now the fact that you just did that, I'm go ahead, let's do this. So, yo, get the fuck out of my face, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Heard you. I'm talking to somebody else now. I'm not even gonna talk to you no more.
Yeah.
I already realized.
That'd be a good way to do it.
I already realized you and I can't even hold conversation right now, because you already coming with the bullshit. All right, yo, I heard you, brother. Yo, big time. Do me a favor. How about this? Somebody here be the voice of reason. Let me just chop it up with one person.
Or I'll take all y'all ass to jail. Fuck. How y'all want to do it? I mean, I'm joking, but sometimes that's how it goes.
But you can't fold in that moment, and that's why I say people skills. That shit matters, because some people don't. At that moment, a person who doesn't have people skills might automatically be like, the fuck? And you know what they're gonna do? Revert back to what they were ultimately taught, and also revert back to just how they respond to things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's what they were triggered.
They were triggered. So it's like, did this person just, oh yeah? Right to the radio.
Right.
Hey, let me get a couple additional units over here. Now they just automatically think some shit is about to happen.
And then they get all,
you know what I'm saying?
They get all, forgive us. My bad, officer, my bad.
Hey, but then you got that random person that they called in.
And
trying to be the Superman.
What you mean? Oh my God, when he come,
right? You don't know who's coming though when you do that. Hey, let me get additional units.
That's the scariest cop too. Like, what you need? What you need backup for, cuz? That's the scariest one.
But a person, on a serious note, a person who kind of knows, you just gotta have some that just don't fuck with cops,
right?
And you ultimately gotta know how to take that and just, okay, yo, my brother, I heard you, man. Listen, let me just get one person that's voice of reason. And if there is and make it clear, if there is nobody out here who wants to be the voice of reason, then I'll be the voice of reason. Here's what's going to ultimately have to happen. I understand you guys are out here doing your thing, and I'm not trying to intervene on that whatsoever. What I'm telling you is we're consistently getting phone calls from different neighbors saying the music is too loud. They not even tripping about y'all barbecuing out here. They're just saying the music is too loud.
And in all fairness, I mean, to be fair, I've been on those, in those circles, in those conversations, and I'm being funny, but most of the time when cops talk like that, the shit goes smoothly.
Yeah,
It's a very small amount of people that's going to be like, get the fuck out, you know. But some people might.
Now, you have situations where they turn it down for the moment, and then when your ass leave, they turn it back up. But here's the thing. But you also have to be very transparent with people. Yo, listen, man, I'm going to be real with you. I don't even care that y'all doing this. I don't care that y'all doing this. I understand y'all having fun, but sometimes our fun bothers other people. You know what I'm saying? So we need to be mindful of that. So here's what needs to happen so we don't have to come back here and have this conversation. I'm asking y'all to keep the music to a level to where you guys can be happy with, and neighbors ain't got to call on y'all. Because imagine if they continue to call and we got to keep coming here. What do you think the next step is going to be?
Jail.
No, I'm not taking you to jail because it's noise. But the next step is, how about this? Now you have to turn it off. We came out here too many times now. And now it's becoming an issue because it's other, like you guys say, we got better things to do. That's probably the truth. So we don't have to keep coming here to bother y'all while y'all cook and do y'all thing. Just turn it down a little bit. A simple move, bro, it makes everyone happy. Just turn it down just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So now when we leave, it's like, yo, at least the officer was respectful. He didn't say nothing crazy to us. And he let us know, yo, bro, in all fairness, if we have to continue to keep coming back, ultimately the music is going to get turned off.
Yeah.
Because we need, we can't keep coming and 10 times, hey, just the 10th time, turn that shit off.
But I think at the end of the day, though, that's obviously a circumstance.
Ideal.
Right.
And that's a very simple circumstance I just gave.
But even those circumstances turn into a lot of issues in particular areas. And that's because of that infrastructure that we were talking about before. Is in most cases, people don't have those people skills.
Yep.
Right. And so here we got this officer stepping on scene and portraying, hey, I'm the authority. I'm head honcho.
Fear tactics.
Right. Fear tactics. And that happens a lot. And it happens
all the time.
And so just like us in our communities, word gets around.
And it's the fear tactics get laid out because they're scared. They're fearful.
Right.
It's like, I don't know how
fear of the other.
There you go. Right. I don't know what I'm about to say or do and how this is going to turn out.
But they should. You guys should. You guys should have elevated.
Don't say you guys, nigga. I don't.
but you. I'm referring to you because you is what is it? The band of brothers, whatever the hell y'all call yourself.
I don't call myself anything.
Clearly, we're here.
but what I am saying, I am involved.
There has to be a heightened level of ability to interact positively in a non-aggressive way, regardless, almost on some like doctor, not like a doctor, but someone that's like supposed to like soothe you. Mm-hmm. Maybe people are gonna hear this like, you crazy, there's no soothing, but you don't know how much you can calm someone just by your tone.
Let me tell you something.
Or the type, or even like you said, like saying like, honestly, I don't even care that you're doing this. That sentence right there might, de-stress the situation.
And to kind of piggyback off that, I've had so many situations where I don't want to say I cowered down because I didn't. I more so I let a person feel like they can say and do them. Like, don't think because I'm standing here in this uniform, you can't say and do you. Like, understand that I'm not here to assert my dominance on you. I'm not here for that. But that's my point. You have people, again, and we keep going back to it, that it all boils down to people skills and respect. And my thing is, if I need to make it seem like I'm taking a step back to kind of make that person feel better about themselves at that moment, as long as this shit don't get carried away, I don't care if you want to feel superior at the moment. I'm cool with that. I'm respecting you, you respecting me. We ain't getting physical. Yo, bro, if you feel like, you winning this battle, in all reality, as long as this shit pans out the way it needs to where you going back inside, I'm getting back in that car, and at the end of the day, I'm going home to my family. Yo, bro, yes, you won. Cool. I don't care enough, bro.
So would you say ultimately, this topic of discussion is being brought up because you see a lack of officers who are in these positions that don't have people skills,
absolutely,
don't have respect? Like, what's the conversation like? Like, when it comes to people, like, obviously we're regular civilians and you're taught that you're not, right? When it comes to, the role that you have to play, how how are people like us looked at, talked about?
It is seriously, man, that's a good ass question. You have so many different situations. Everything with this job is circumstantial, bro. Like, I know a female on the job. I had to tell her so many times, yo, stop pointing at people. You point at people too much. And I don't know if that's just something that you naturally do, but that shit offends people. Like, people, I've heard so many people tell her, yo, stop pointing at me and stop pointing so close to me. So she's going through the scenario and going through whatever she needs to go through in regards to relaying the information, but she points as she speaks. And the shit annoys me when she's doing it.
Right, that annoyed me.
That shit just annoys right. Like, imagine someone's talking to you and they're just like, the reason why this is not going in your favor is because you're not listening to what I'm saying. It's like, yo, put your finger down.
Right.
Stop pointing. And I told her so many times, once everything, said and done and we're leaving, it's like, yo, you point a lot. Like, that shit annoys me. So I can imagine how it's making another person feel. So, to touch on, the base of the question, it's like, we get viewed, and when I say we, I mean black people, whether male or female, we get viewed, I think naturally aggression gets applied to us no matter what. I think I just think no matter what, when you look at us, people associate a level of aggression with us. Why? I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's the media.
Yeah, absolutely.
100% the media.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
They control the narrative.
That's part of it.
We'll save that for a different episode.
Right. We definitely got to talk about that.
100%.
It's true, but I mean,
I was just gonna say, I think people's perception of black people need to change, and I think if that can be addressed first, the interaction between cops who get on this job and have their perception of black people, I think the interaction would be 10 times better. The perception of black people needs to change. No matter what you see through the media, like you said, we'll talk about that another day, but if you can change your perception and not go into situations with preconceived notions of what you're already getting ready to get involved in, and keep an open mind and understand that you're just literally going to deal with a person who just needs your assistance right now. And that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just, you're going to go talk to a person. That is it. The same way you go inside and you place an order for food, and if you go to anywhere and you're just gonna have conversation, just know all you're doing, you're just about to go have conversation. Just talk.
I mean, yeah, I think we can all agree.
It sounds simple.
It's simple. I think we can all agree on that. I think we touched on a lot of things. I think that's a good place to probably end it. I think we can all agree that perception and not having preconceived notions would be a fairy tale land that everyone can be happy in. But I think we covered a lot of ground. I think we talked about a lot of dope things and a lot of positive things that are conducive to leading toward a better future. So yeah.
And I like to add some just a final touch to it is, like you said, it boils down to us being able to know how to operate with people, have empathy, have sympathy in any field of work that you're in. I don't care what you do. You're dealing with people, and cops who don't know how to deal with people shouldn't be cops.
Agreed.
And I think that's just
100% agreed.
Bottom line. Like you said, people get into those positions and they've never had that experience in their life in terms of feeling important or feeling like they have some type of authority. And here they are, not people persons at all. Don't know how to deal with people, and now they're put in a position to where they're wearing a suit and a badge.
Like, I'm gonna make you feel my presence now. Because for so many years, I wasn't able to feel like my presence mattered. So now I'm going to make sure my presence is mattered. Whether you like it or not, I will assert my dominance and I will make my presence felt.
Right.
No matter, at any expense, I'm going to make sure that gets done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that shit needs to stop.
For sure.
Point blank.
All right, well, let's clap it up.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
You know what I mean? Yo, look, man, I'm going to say this. A lot more is going to be said. A lot more is going to get done with this. It's the first one. I want everyone to bear with us because I'm going to tell you, man, I'm so passionate about this that there's so much that I want to cover. And I don't know how much time I could do this shit all day, every day. But I want to make sure that I touch on the things that I know people have concerns about. You know what I mean? So I'm going to make sure I do my very best for you guys to ensure that everything that we discussed, like I said, when we first came on, It's for you guys, man. And we gonna get this shit done one way or another. On the next one, we out.
And also, before we sum it up, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Definitely subscribe to the YouTube
like
channel.
it, share it, comment. You probably got things that you're like, yo, whether you're on the police officer's side and things you don't agree with what he's saying, feel free to throw it in the comment section, or maybe
you're on the criminal side.
Right, you on the criminal side, or, you know, whatever perspective you have. I think it'd be very important to add that to the comment section just so that we can keep that dialogue and keep that conversation going. For
sure.
And just really start a real conversation about stuff that most people are quiet about, or when they talk about, it has to be aggressive because you weren't listening to me quietly, so now I gotta yell at you, right?
Right.
To avoid that, this is that type of platform. So make sure you stream on all platforms. We're on Apple Music, we're on Spotify. Stay tuned and
Uncuffing the truth, baby.
That's it. Uncuffing the truth. Follow me on the gram. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Uncuffing the truth.
All right, let's get it.